The strikes have been going on in Hollywood since May when the Writers Guild decided to go on strike, and it picked up a little bit of steam back in July when the Actors Guild decided to join them. But despite all of that, things really haven't been working out for either side in this. And every time they've been trying to reach a negotiation, I mean, there's always something that falls through, and there's just certain issues that either side of this negotiation just won't budge on. And that's why this article says that there's really no end in sight to all this. And we got this one coming out from today, or Willem Dafoe says it's a possible collapse in the whole industry if things don't get resolved. Now, he was given this statement because he was promoting a movie that he worked on. And some movies, for people who don't know, do have deals where they can still function and promote those if they're independent productions that kind of abide by terms of the negotiations that's been going on. Or it's a little bit complicated, but basically there's certain projects that can be worked on and can be promoted. And some actors have chosen to basically shy away from those and not do those and not promote those projects, kind of in solidarity with the people out of work right now. But Willem Dafoe, he took I think a pretty smart approach to this, where he says, like, well, no, people need the work still. I mean, so if you can get onto one of these independent things, and I think people should do that. And I agree with him on that. In fact, I was kind of saying that from the start, that I think these strikes can be good for the audience because I'd rather see more independent movies actually made with a passion behind them, as opposed to just the mindless stuff that we're seeing churned out from the studios. So, I mean, yeah, I would prefer like a rise of independent content and independent movies actually doing these things right now. But he did say there's something radical going on within the industry, and if things aren't resolved, it could collapse the whole thing. And this isn't something new, or he's not the first person to actually say this. We got this article from a couple months ago, soon after the actors went on strike, from Fortune. It says entertainment mogul Barry Diller warns Hollywood strikes will cause the absolute collapse of the entire industry. And he does kind of specify that he thinks if they don't reach a deal by the end of the year, it will collapse the Hollywood industry. But keep in mind, that's the Hollywood industry. That's not just like the movie industry as a whole. I mean, as an audience member, we can still get a lot of other content from a lot of other sources. I mean, especially when you consider foreign language films, or just foreign films in general, not necessarily foreign language films, are having a huge resurgence in this, especially in the age of streaming services. I mean, this article from Collider is talking about remakes and things like that, or like why we don't need to actually make Americanized versions of foreign or American remakes of foreign language films, because we can just watch those films right now and it's actually pretty enjoyable. I mean, we even seen a few years ago got Parasite, which is a South Korean film, was Best Picture, and really no problem with that. So, I mean, I think there's a market for that within the US, especially if Hollywood is down, and if that industry did collapse. There's a lot of other content to watch with there, but also with TV shows. I mean, right now it says foreign language shows such as Squid Games are helping Netflix succeed. Like I said, the whole age of the streaming service is exposing a lot of people to content that they would have never or otherwise not have seen. And people are enjoying this because all people care about is good production and good stories and good characters. I mean, you can get that anywhere. You don't need Hollywood. In fact, I think a lot of the stuff that's coming out of Hollywood is actually detrimental to what that is. So if that whole system collapses, yeah, that's fine with me. And like I said before, we also have independent content, which seems to be making more money, at least dollar for dollar wise goes. I mean, this is a movie that made hundreds of millions of dollars at the box office on a really small budget. I mean, when you compare that to some of the major blockbusters coming out this last summer, like Indiana Jones, Mission Impossible, The Flash, I mean, those movies lost hundreds of millions of dollars because they spent so much making them. But if you have something with a relatively low investment, I mean, not only do you have less of a risk of loss from that, but also, I mean, just a huge potential for reward. And I think a lot of these independent studios are really picking that up right now and figuring like this is a good time to do this sort of thing, especially when the major studios are going down. But one of the problems also with these strikes going on for so long is you're inevitably going to get people basically deciding, you know what, I have to work anyway. And that's why we got this latest news coming from Drew Barrymore, where she's restarting her talk show, even though it's not allowed to be doing that right now. And people working within the guilds, the Writers Guild, basically said this show, her show specifically, is also struck, and any writer who is working that is in violation of the unions. Well, what about if they just hire non-union people? Did the people on strike ever consider that like, okay, yeah, they're going to call them scabs or whatever? It's like, I mean, me personally, if it was like, okay, we're going to call you a name, it's like, okay, but I'm working and I'm getting money. and you're not. So what are you going to do about it? I mean, is it bad form? Yeah, possibly. But I mean, I think the people on strike right now are obviously going to be hurting, or if they're making as little money as what they're claiming, it's like they're feeling it right now. And those people are eventually going to look at it and be like, you know what, these other people are working and making money doing my old job, whereas my union is telling me I can't work and make money. So when are they going to eventually abandon their union, or at least it's going to create infighting within the union? And I think the studios are ultimately hoping that that will happen. And while it's possible that that won't happen, I mean, there's really nothing preventing the studios from doing just this and be like, you know, we're just going to hire non-union members, or people are just going to leave their union in order to actually put food on their table. I mean, that is another strong possibility. But either way, like I said, this doesn't affect us as audience members watching this from the outside, because we established that there's a lot of content out there, not only that back catalog from what these studios have actually produced in the past, but I mean, there's a lot of stuff from foreign markets, whether it's movies, TV shows. So really, we're not a shortage of anything out there to watch. So, I mean, for me, my personal opinion, I really don't care with these strikes going on. I mean, they can go on indefinitely, and it could collapse the Hollywood studio system, because the studios have capital. I mean, they're just going to be like, if anything collapses, it really would just be these unions, and then the studios will just start picking up people who want to work for them. So it's ultimately going to be one of those things. The unions are going to have to be the ones to kind of break the negotiation. But let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below. And if you like this video, make sure you click the like button, share the video, and subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date with the latest news. Thank you.